Okay, so I ended up getting some action bases for both filming purposes and specifically for the Justice Gundam, so I need to re-record all the stuff for this review. Oh well, life's life. Stuff happens. You have no control over it, unless you finally get off your backside and get the stands earlier. Seriously, I bought one each day for 3 days. Seriously, I couldn't have just gotten them on the first day? Oh well, never mind. This isn't my first attempt at a real great Gundam, but it is my first genuine one. I did use a Gundam marker when building it, but that's something Gundam builders are usually used to, so it's expected. First off, I'm really digging this colour scheme. It's an odd pinkish crimson, and I can't put my finger on it, but that aside, it's a nice rich colour. It's a little odd though, because there are two different shades on two different sprues. Yeah, there's a third purple one, but that's not what I mean. You don't really notice it unless you look up close, and I have no idea why they did it. Is it a plastic issue? Not really. They cast a bunch of extra pieces in ABS to make them more pliable, and these aren't really the same. I don't think these are ABS. I also took a look at some anime screenshots, and as far as I can tell, it's all one colour. It's been a while since I saw Gundam Seed though, so maybe it's a bit different when it's flying around and stuff. It's more of an annoyance than a con, but it's just so weird. Breaking up the colour scheme, we have some dabs of white and black. Well, the black's a little bluish, but whatever. And then we have the stickers. Let me put something into perspective here. You get 12 sprues, with at least 200 pieces. I'm not going to go super accurate with the count, but whatever. Doing about 3 hours a day took me 3 or 4 days to put it together, including the Gundam marker on each piece. The stickers took me exactly the same time to do so, and it gets worse. Most of these are barely even 3mm long. I'm fine with stickers if they're easy enough, and these make the robot look awesome. That being said though, these are way too hard. I mean, way too hard. I'm a pretty patient guy, and even I had trouble with these. With stickers this small, why didn't they just make a water slide decal set? They're far easier, and with some decal solution, they're a lot more durable, which brings me to the metallic stickers. I'll go over the hover platform, and yes, I know it's called the Phaeton 00, but hover platform is easier, a bit later. But this is the biggest offender of the issue. Most of the metallic stickers are fine, but the reasons I don't have the ones on top is because they pretty much scratch themselves off. I left one on to show you what I mean. Most of them don't have this problem, but the ones that do are really disappointing. Now they do look fantastic and provide some of the best detail you can get on a figure, but is it really worth it? I mean, some of these are completely useless. Oh yeah, you're right, yeah, sure, you really need stickers on a beam saber. Really, and the gun too, yeah, sure. You're totally gonna use them. If they ever do make a water slide decal set, I recommend getting that instead. While Gundam are renowned for their articulation, with real grade being even more so than other grades, one is to keep in mind that this is a display piece, not a toy. Playing with it will break it. And I should know because I made that mistake with the Strike Freedom. R.I.P. I should probably buy another one though. It was a pretty good figure. The head is on a ball joint and oh right, it pops off a lot. The crest tends to do that quite a bit too. Real good design work, Bandai, yeah. Real good. The shoulders hinge forward, hinge outwards, and rotate 360 degrees. You can also rotate it forward, but it'll happily pop off if you move it faster than a snail's pace. The shoulder armor rotates forward with the arm, and it can also rotate up to make extra room for the arm. The elbows are double jointed, and they have a small gimmick on the frame which makes different bits of machinery pop out as you bend it. This would have been a really neat feature on a toy, but on a display piece this feels underutilized. The hands are on ball joints that allow for 360 degrees of rotation, and a little bit of extra waggle. You also have articulated hands that can swap out, but I'll touch on those more later. There's a waist swivel that only really gets 15 degrees in either direction, and the torso can bend from side to side. The skirt armor at the front rotates up to get out of the way, but be careful as it's a little flimsy. The same happens on the side, but there's not as much movement there, so he can't pull off the full splits even if his legs would allow it. The back armor moves even less, but it does rotate a tad. The thighs move outwards, forwards, and they rotate a bit. Similarly to the elbows, the knees are double jointed and use a parts revealing gimmick. The feet have so many points that I'm not even going to bother, but some cool bits include another gimmick point revealing some extra detail, an ankle tilt, and a foot bend. For newcomers this may seem like a lot, but long-time Gundam fans know what they're getting. For a size comparison, he's pretty much what you'd expect. 1:144 kits are usually all the same, so scale isn't an issue. Bandai's got you covered. Now on to the accessories. I should probably address the elephant in the room, the hover pack, or as the wiki calls it, the Phaeton 00. Strange, would this be the missing link between the two alternate universes of Gundam Seed and Gundam 00? Could it be a reference? Wait, no, Gundam 00 came out 2 years later. Theory destroyed. Anyway, this thing is massive in comparison to the figure itself. It's almost as big as it, and it stretches out with a hefty wingspan. This backpack slash surfboard, airboard slash whatever, was one of the real draws of getting this figure. Honestly, I don't know what to call it, but still, it's awesome. One of its gimmicks, using parts from the frame sprue, allows it to get even longer. The thrusters are on ball joints, and while they do fall off a bit during construction, once they're fully enclosed, they stay in there nicely. The front cannons rotate upwards, and the small turrets both rotate 270 degrees and move upwards. The wings also fold in, which will make sense in a moment. But first, a quick complaint. Just like the head and the crest, these yellow bits pop up all the time. What is it with yellow in this figure? This is supposed to be a Bandai kit, not a Games Workshop model. I'm not supposed to have to use glue, you idiots. Couldn't you have done anything? The Phaeton can clip onto the back of the Justice, and it looks exactly like what you would expect. Big thrusters for space travel. You can have the wings either open or tucked away, and either of these options look cool. But then the real magic happens. Using the extending gimmick to get the cannons out of the way, you can actually fold the backpack over the Justice to give him the largest shoulder armor I've ever seen. It's so hefty, they even have an extra support piece to keep it standing up properly. The weight is a bit of a problem though, making it unable to be fully utilized without two stands. He has to stand stock still unless you want him to topple over all the time. Fortunately, I happen to have two stands on me. This doesn't look half bad. If you're willing to spend $20 Australian on this, then you too can create this awesome scene. Finally, there are two little back sections that fold back to reveal platforms for the Justice to stand on. Now this is a cool feature, and it was how I was going to display mine until I got the stands. Even though I'm not displaying mine like this, I still think it's the second best way to have your Gundam, although do be careful, the connection is a little bit flimsy. In terms of other accessories, let's start off with the beam rifle. It's pretty standard, so there's not much to say. Most Gundam fans know what a beam rifle is. Same with the beam sabers. Most fans know what a beam saber is too. And he also comes with 6 hands in total. 4 for the right and 2 for the left. The right has an easy grip hand for beam rifles, an open hand for crouching, waving, and fun times with Reveltech Woody. A closed fist for punching things. And this. This hand has 7 points of articulation. Take a guess how sturdy it is. I really dislike this stand, and considering how this is a display piece, and how larger display pieces don't even bother with this, I think this is a complete waste of plastic. This brings me to the shield, which looks fine. However, you may notice I haven't touched it at all during the review. This is because the only other left hand you get is a closed fist, and I've tried fitting weapons in there. It isn't happening. I've been very careful with this arm so as to try and avoid problems. When that shield falls off, it usually takes 3 other fingers with it. And trying to get everything back on will take up to half an hour sometimes. Just stick the shield there and leave it. That's not what I recommend, that is what I command.
And never again touch it. Just angle it. Perfection! Great. Not again.
The beam sabers, same as most real grade sets, store in the skirt armor, and the transparent pink blade is also pretty standard. They also clip together to form a double-bladed saber, which is also pretty standard, at least I think it is, as a Strike Freedom did the same. What's not so standard are the daggers. They are formed from the shoulder armor, and while they look fine, they play hell with the figure's silhouette. Honestly, I think these features are unnecessary. But hey, there's something for everyone here, so you probably won't be disappointed. And of course, once again, this is how I'm going to display mine. And I'm not going to touch it, because if I do, it's sure to fall apart again. Let me be clear, this is not a toy. This is a display piece for you to leave on your shelf and to look cool. Never touch it again. Other than that, there isn't much play value here. If you're into playing with your figures, I'd just recommend a high grade or a master grade. While I'm not too informed about the latter, I'm sure the construction issues are rectified with the size increase. That being said, if you don't mind a glorified paperweight, and to be honest that's what it is, this is pretty good. I enjoyed this, and it's going to be on my shelf for quite some time, but just be careful when you're buying it, and even more so when you're building it. I'm going to have to go with a 3-star rating. It's probably the best looking thing you can get alongside other real grade sets, but that and the build are all it really has going for it. Next time, it's time to get legendary! Still not liking the new size class. They're legions, not legends, or is it scouts, or I don't know. Away we go!